Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Patrick Staub. I have the pleasure of recently being named the Emergency Management Director for the state of Florida. And I want to thank everyone for showing up today. We have over 200 people in the audience of various stages of local, county, state government. We have representatives from hospital districts throughout the state, fire rescue agencies throughout the state, and of course our law enforcement partners all throughout the state of Florida. I'm very happy that you could be here today with me as we go over the future of EM in the state of Florida, which you know is a dynamic and ever-growing space and has evolved into a supportive partner with all of your core missions in delivering emergency services, preparedness, disaster relief to all of you and your constituents in your various counties throughout the state. My name is Patrick Staub. As I mentioned, I have over 15 years of experience as a fire chief locally here in the South Florida area, but 30 years in the business collectively. And in that time, I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of you folks personally, but also your colleagues, namely in the South Florida area, but I've had the good pleasure of going to conferences, meeting different people throughout the state of Florida, bringing their ideas, piggybacking on those back home where I come from. Hospital relationships, law enforcement relationships really are the foundation of what it is we do. Obviously, our support from our local, state, and county government serves as the structure in which we are able to provide these services, to provide the funding for these services, and I want to thank you all again for being here today. I kind of want to put a roadmap out over the next 4 to 5 years of things that we're trying to achieve and areas we're trying to strive to in the state of Florida to help make sure we're ahead of the curve, that we are providing the best service, the best support for all of our counties, for all of our cities, for all of our residents, namely, that they know when God forbid a disaster strikes, that the state, with the work of all of you folks, is ready to meet them in their time of need. That is what we're here for. That is what we strive to exceed expectations, to see around the curve, and to be ready for what the future may deal with us. As you know, the state of Florida has grown tremendously over the last 5 years. I've lived here my entire life, and we are now the third most populated state in the nation. The new residents, the new infrastructure, the new build-outs and otherwise formerly rural areas has really transformed the state and the demands the state needs to make and meet for its new residents. And we have taken a pretty holistic approach, and I need to give credit to my predecessor for setting the standard to where we are today, because we've done such tremendous work. We've been put to the fire, feet to the fire numerous times in the state, dealing with the lead up to and the follow-up of hurricanes, other disasters, active shooters, things of that sort that really test us, they test our mettle. And if it wasn't for people like this in this room, those challenges might be too grave to meet. But fortunately, our collaboration on the private side, the public side, public safety officials, hospital staff, hospital leadership, we meet those challenges head on. And I couldn't be prouder to work alongside all of you. That being said, I do want to touch on some trends and things that we're going to be potentially facing more of in the future. We already have a taste of it today, namely climate-related issues. As we all know, Florida has blessings and curses when it comes to weather. It's attracted a lot of people to our state, I think we all know that. But at the same time, we have challenges. We have vulnerable communities. We have the West Coast has taken the brunt of a lot, up to the Panhandle, it's taken a lot of brunt of storms, and the rebuild and the imagining forward of how we can better respond to these communities, how we can better assist these communities, gives us the lessons that we need to bring forward to better meet those challenges of tomorrow. So we're proposing a restructuring of deployable package teams. We're talking about the emergency response side. I'll get to the hospital side a little bit later because you all play a massive role in this picture. But on the emergency deploy side, we are restructuring our regions 1 through 7, 1 being at the southeast, working its way up to the Panhandle at 7. So we're going to be able to package our FLUSAR, Florida Urban Search and Rescue teams, our medical deployable teams that mimic the DMAT format from the federal government if we needed to reach out for that kind of assistance. We're also packaging our behavioral health folks. As we know, Governor DeSantis was a huge proponent of first responder mental health. When folks, they responded to Champlain Towers, for example, when they collapsed down on Miami-Dade a few years back, not exactly were we ready to have our folks deal with situations like that in their hometown. That doesn't happen. God forbid it never happens again. We learned a lot of lessons that when we're putting our people out there, our use our folks, our first response, our incident commanders on prolonged operations, that the exposure and the mental stress that they're under, that needs to be addressed. And the state has put funding there, so there's deployable teams with clinicians, dietitians, folks that go and support our responders that are supporting all of us. So I really want to thank the governor for that. We absolutely want to hold on to that model. We want to maintain that funding. We want to continue to grow that program to support our first responders that are out there on deployable teams outside of their community, working on behalf of other Floridians. As we know, there's various levels to EM, from the municipal level, the county level, up to the state and federal levels at the higher end. And folks at the county and city level are our eyes and ears. I can sit here in Tallahassee and be in charge of VM for the state of Florida, and when you take a glance back, you're like, how could that be possible? It's a state of 24 million people, various challenges, various opportunities throughout the state. We have counties with 20,000 people in them. We have counties with 3.9 million people in them. How do we deliver service to those folks? And the answer is you, with our assistance, but namely with the local folks. You all know what you need at your level and what we can be of assistance of. What we want to be there for are those incidents where you need surge capacity, be it the hospital system, be it medical deployable teams, be it surge staffing, be it urban search rescue, swift water, these special tactics and skills that aren't otherwise needed to be staffed for budgetary constraints or for need uses on a local level. However, we can bring those to bear, but you are the eyes and ears of that area. We want to come there and be a partner with you if you ever need us. We're not coming there at any point in time to take over. That being said, we do have expertise if you need that, because there's different challenges, different communities may not have that kind of history and that kind of comfortability with certain situations, and we are absolutely there to be your partner, but this is your area. Wherever we may deploy, whatever assets we may bring into your area, we want you to know and be comfortable under my leadership that we're partners in this thing, and we're dance partners as far as any emergency goes. The local color, local flavor, local needs that you know better than I ever will or will attempt to know. I'm going to bow to your better knowledge, and we're going to work together in any way we can to provide service, to restore service to the people in your communities. Also want to touch on our federal partnership. The state of Florida has I won't say seamless, but near seamless relationship with our federal partners up in DC. And we're really proud of that. We really, truly value our federal partners. Funding obviously is a massive issue. When they put directives out in directions they want to see states and regional assets go, we really take that into consideration. We really, we don't read 100% off the sheet music, because Florida has its own challenges that we know better than anybody else as Floridians. That being said, we want to be in compliance. We want to do our reporting and documentation. We want our reimbursement for our local folks to be made in a timely fashion. We're here to advocate on your behalf to make sure you're made whole when outflows and reserves are tapped, to help get you guys back where you need to be from a financial and structural and infrastructure standpoint. Our strike teams for MFP&L, the unsung heroes of everyone that's ever gone through a hurricane in Florida, knows when the power's out here. We have fancy trucks and titles on our shirts, but we all know that the linemen on FP&L, they get the power turned back on. Those are the real heroes. So thank you all for showing up. I really do appreciate that. You guys are part of our strike team package as well. We all know that. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate that. Excuse me, I referenced my notes. Hurricanes get most of the attention in Florida, and rightfully so. They're extremely challenging. They tax us to the limit. We've had trial by fire in this state. We always have lessons we can take away, and I I value that input. I hopefully never deal with it again, but we know it's a fact of life and living down here. That being said, I want to shift focus to something that we don't speak about nearly as much, and the Florida Forestry Service, another group that doesn't get the attention they deserve for the outstanding work they do, and they're in attendance today as well. And we thank you for all that you do to protect our natural spaces. Is wildfires in Florida, because of our climate, they were always an issue, but it never got the attention because of our rainfall, our geographic constraints, urban-wild interface, and we were able to kind of keep tabs on it. We've had some flare-ups that were significant impacts, but that being said, with the inconsistent rainfalls that we've been seeing over the last handful of years and what meteorologists expect to continue into the future, wildfire risk in this state really needs to take center stage. These are massive disruptions locally, not just from an infrastructure, obviously private and public property that are at risk, but also air quality. And it really does impact the regional area, community, county system in ways that tax systems that we're not traditionally used to dealing with. And in response to that, we are and have approved additional funding for additional staffing, equipment, and personnel into the Forestry Service. And we have reached out to the Florida State Fire College to introduce more wildland techniques into Standards 2 classes that are offered on the structure side. We know our folks in the rural counties have been asking them for a very long time that there's a little bit more wildland experience that new firefighters come into the job with, instead we had to teach them strictly from the structure to the wildland side. And we're going to meet that challenge as well to introduce some new curriculum into our Standards 2 class and put together a package for refresher and remediation training for on-the-job firefighters, that they can bone up on their skills on things that they didn't traditionally have to do. But in certain areas where interface and sprawl has moved into, we are experiencing significant situations throughout the state on a near weekly basis, and it warrants additional focus in that direction. So the wildland guys, I know that they are, they oftentimes feel like they get the short end, and I do apologize for that. And the state does acknowledge that we have some strides to make up for, and we really intend to do that to support you guys in a more appropriate fashion going forward to meet the challenges of tomorrow. And I want to take this back, mention this to take back to all your folks back at the counties and cities that you work for. Emergency management sits outside of fire and police and hospital systems in a different space. And engagement is key to extending that knowledge to your residents, to your voters, to the folks that live in your communities about what it is that our people do. They might be in an EOC in some building somewhere running operations, but they're out of the spotlight. It's not about the spotlight, it's about the value and the coordinated response that the state brings to bear in incidents that affect your residents' lives. So community trust, community partnerships, public partnerships, private partnerships, any opportunity that you could take back in your home counties, take advantage. We have some paperwork, we have some strategy ideas. We'd love to be a partner in any way that we can from a state level. Obviously, we're on board. We have a whole staff of people that are looking forward to developing and pushing information back and forth so that when we do face an incident, we have resources throughout the state of Florida that everybody knows about. It's communicated, they're deployable, they're understood, their limitations, their availability, all those different facets. We have a lot of untapped potential in the state of Florida. Let me say that. And by getting with people, community organizations, volunteer groups, CERT groups, we really can bring a lot of leverage in a situation. So I do encourage all of you to take any relationship as a positive. No matter how big, how small, any productive increase in back and forth communication with your folks and with your residents is hugely important at your level and at our level. And in any way that we can help support you in that manner, we are happy to do so. Please reach out to my staff and they can help you with that, with the particulars. As I mentioned before, we need to shape from the hospital staff. We're growing. We are facing new challenges. There's less rural areas in Florida. There's more suburban areas in Florida. There's more resources needed to take care of the people that are moving to this state and in different areas of the state that haven't experienced that kind of growth in the past, namely in the central and northern part of the state. So we are full board supporting, from an EM standpoint, nursing programs, additional fire standards programs, EMT and paramedic programs, community paramedic programs. I'm really excited about what a lot of our people in the state are doing already. We're kind of on the bleeding edge of some of these programs, at least in the southeastern United States, which I'm extremely proud of, because these are all deployable pieces in an emergency outside of their normal day job of providing emergency service or what have you. These are untapped resources that we need to plug into the EM picture, if you will. That the vantage point, if we take a step back, these pieces sometimes are underutilized. And our education needs to fit the responder of the future, not just the responder of today. So we have a work group with Nursing College, the Fire College, the Bureau of EMS about different avenues and different training curriculum critique or improvements, pivots that, if you will, that we're looking into for future of response and how to integrate the EM model more into the base level education so people grow up with the concept of emergency management, what they do, how they add value, how they work, how your particular entity works in the bigger picture. I think that knowledge, that education is power, and we got to bring that into the forefront of our standards training, our EMS training, even nursing, our vulnerable population registries, all of these folks that take care of different people in the state of Florida, and where folks are dependent on state and or local resources. We want to plug them into this information, let them know that there is a bigger picture out there looking after you and yours. Last thing I want to close with is when it comes to emergency response and the EM folks that orchestrate behind the scenes, we want to take care of our people. I mentioned earlier about the BHAP model that my home department down south in Coral Springs was one of the pioneers of, and petitioned for the state to sign for. And it's not just about firefighters. It's not just about paramedics. It's about anyone that works in these fields. And I think the hospital can really benefit, the hospital folks can really benefit from a lot of things that we have gotten used to on the mental health side, on the wellness side. And I'd be happy to join forces in any way we possibly can, because there's so many more hospital providers out there, and there's different systems, private, public, partnerships, et cetera, different structures out there throughout the state. There's literally countless variations of how service is delivered from a hospital standpoint, that I want those people to be involved in what we have to offer. The clinicians, being able to talk to people, the mental health aspect of it, looking after one another. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there going forward that we can bring you into the fold and see if it works for your folks, or we can change it to make it work for your people. We're open to any ideas. This is an open collaborative discussion. That being said, I think we have a work cut out for us. We have a strong start point, but we have a lot that we can strive for over the next 4 to 5 years to make sure that Florida is ready, Florida is prepared, and Florida is out the door ready to respond at a moment's notice for our loved ones and for the residents and visitors of the state of Florida. And thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.